Hello and welcome to Still Got Legs, a Doctor Who Rewatch podcast brought to you by Another Happy Studios. This week we're celebrating Christmas in the summer because it's time for the Runaway Bride. Hello, welcome to Still Got Legs, the only other podcast in the world. My name is Nathan. I'm joined, as always, by my... I'm not, sorry. Laurence isn't here. He's dead. No, he's not. But I'm joined this week by Katherine from the Missing Mystic Falls podcast instead. Hello, Katherine.
Hello, Merry Christmas.
It is Christmas. Christmas in July, a rare occurrence, but I'm happy to celebrate it. How are you doing today, Katherine?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Perfect. So you're from the Missing Mystic Falls podcast. You want to tell us a little bit about that briefly?
Yes, so we are a Vampire Diaries rewatch podcast. So me and my two friends are going through every single episode of the show, looking at it with some love, some criticism, and trying to find redeeming qualities wherever we can.
I'm sure that's a difficult job sometimes.
We're in the glory days right now because we've just wrapping up season 1. It's going to get really, really bad in some points.
I can imagine. How many episodes of that show are there?
So there's 8 seasons and about 20 episodes a season.
Yeah.
So it's a long time. This is the next few years of my life.
Yeah, we have a schedule for this podcast, and I've mapped out every episode so far because this show's still ongoing. Yeah. And we will be releasing the episode where Jodie Whittaker regenerates into David Tennant, the Power of the Doctor, on the 11th of May 2026. So that's something to look forward to. That's the next 3 years of my life. Missing Mystic Falls, it's a great podcast. I enjoy it very much. I've told you this before, but never seen a single episode of the Vampire Diaries in my life. But I still enjoy listening and trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this bizarre show. It's a lot of fun, so I'd recommend everyone go check that out. So you're filling in for Laurence today, so thank you very much for that. He's not dead, he's just unavailable today. Something came up on his end, so Katherine just agreed to fill in for him. Today we're going to be talking about the Runaway Bride. Before we do that, because this is a Doctor Who podcast, I just want to quickly ask, where are you at with Doctor Who? Who's your Doctor? What's your favorite era? This kind of stuff. Just a brief rundown.
So I'm classic Russell T Davies era gal. I remember distinctly the first time I watched it. It was literally the first episode in 2005. My parents sat me and my siblings down and were like, okay, this is a big deal. Get ready for it. We're all going to watch Doctor Who together. And I've watched episodes I know the Russell T Davies like the back of my hand, and I know most of the Moffat era pretty well. I kind of fell off a little bit towards Capaldi's. It wasn't really anything. It wasn't like my favorite time of the show, but I still really liked. There's a lot of great episodes in there. Then I've seen some Whittaker stuff and ready to jump back on board for the 60th.
Okay, yeah, cool. A lot of people are in the same boat, really. I feel like people kind of around about, I don't know how old you are, but around about our age, I'm probably just massively insulted you there. I'm sorry.
I'm 27, so I feel like it is people around my age.
Yeah, we're fine then. People of our generation who kind of grew up as the show came on, really. We kind of grew up with Doctor Who, and as it would delved into the Moffat era, as the Peter Capaldi era, people started to drop off because it just wasn't. It's still a kids show at heart. It's still a family-friendly kids show, and it probably doesn't have that same appeal. I've never dropped off because I'm just a fucking nerd and I love the show. It has been a little bit tough at times, I will admit. There has been some eras and episodes which have not been my favorite. But overall, I still love it. I'm doing a fucking podcast about it, so here we are. So this is the Runaway Bride. Either the first episode of season 3 or the last episode of series 2. It depends on how you classify it. I don't think even the BBC know, really. It's very confusing. It's written by Russell T Davies, directed by Eurus Lynn, And just generally, what are your thoughts up top about this, Catherine?
So I don't know when was the last time I saw it before now, because I think I've rewatched like most of Doctor Who, the Russell T era, but maybe not the Christmas specials as much.
Okay,
So
yeah.
coming back to it, it felt like it had been a long time. But I really enjoyed it. I do think it benefits a lot from liking Donna as a character
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
in retrospect. Like I don't know, I think first time people weren't as keen on her, but like coming back to it, she's still Donna. So I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of warmth like naturally there.
Yeah, that's true. Catherine Tate has like there's something great about Catherine Tate where she's got like this hostility about her, but it's, I don't know, once you get to know her, it's endearing, really. Like, it can be off-putting if you don't necessarily know her, because straight away she's like, who the fuck are you? What am I doing here? Which is fair enough. It was her wedding day and suddenly she's in a spaceship. But yeah, she is very hostile quite off the bat, but I quite enjoy that. Straight away we get that like 10 Donna banter, which is a staple of series for a lot of people's favorite. And yeah, it's a good way to kick it off. It's a nice contrast from what has been.
Yeah,
really.
it's the complete opposite of the adoration of Rose and the deep love between them, of starting them a little bit on hostile terms.
I mean, in terms of like chronologically, David Tennant's literally just come from saying goodbye to Rose. So he's gone from having his heart broken to Donna just yelling at him and slapping him across the face and all this sort of stuff. So his mind's a roller coaster at this point. I wrote here, she's a lot like Jackie in that sense, in like there's kind of like no bullshit with her. I think like a lot of the companions are quite, there's this awe about the TARDIS and the Doctor and all this sort of stuff, and they're like, oh, this is amazing and everything. But Donna's like, yeah, it's all right, but like, what am I doing here, really, though?
Well, she slaps the Doctor, so that she's added to the club with Jackie.
There we go. I'm trying to think. Has anyone else? I'm surely someone else has slapped the Doctor. But Martha's, but in terms of chronologically at this point, probably, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that's great. The Doctor asks Donna if she's human, and she says, "Is that optional?" And the Doctor goes, "It is for me." Interesting little tease about what's to come.
How much do you think they had? Sorry, how much do you think they had mapped out in terms of Donna returning? Because it leads really nicely into like her arc in season 4.
It does. It does. To be honest, from what I understand, it was never intended. Like, she was just supposed to be a one-off companion. And there was, and she's just the Christmas special guest, really. At the time, Catherine Tate was quite well known because the Catherine Tate Show, she did her comedy and that type of stuff. And it was really just like the big guest for the Christmas episode, I guess. And then she came back full time. I don't think it was ever intended, though. So there is like, if you watch the first episode of series 4, there's a bit of like a bit of retconning, really, because like she says, at the end of it, she's going to travel, she's going to start a whole new life and that sort of stuff. And then at series 4, she's like, oh no, I never got around to any of that. Like, yeah, which is quite fun. But yeah, it's an interesting point. I often try to think with Doctor Who, like, how much of this is planned out in advance, but then I often think, oh, they're not that clever. I think a lot of this is just made up as they go along, really.
Well, he would have known she would have been like available to do a whole season. Like, it's not like it would have been a year later, so she would have no idea what she could or couldn't commit to.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
One thing I love about Catherine Tate as the companion, like, I think she obviously loves the show, but she knows fuck all about Doctor Who. And it's so funny.
I love that. I love, like, whenever you get like a panel at Comic-Con or just whatever, and Catherine Tate's there, and audience Q&As are those. I always hate them because it's always just the most cringe-worthy questions. But whenever someone asks her something, she's just like, I don't know. she doesn't have. She's almost like Harrison Ford in that respect. Like, Harrison Ford is just a great. I have a lot of respect for the way that he just cannot stand Star Wars and wants nothing to do with it. Almost like Christopher Eccleston as well. Rose's t-shirt is just hanging off a rail in the TARDIS. Where does that come from? That seems pretty strange, doesn't it?
It's her jacket, but also Why? I don't understand how there's a closet in the TARDIS. Like, why is
Yeah.
Rose just leaving shit everywhere?
She wasn't wearing that in the episode she
No.
left either. It seems honestly, it just seems like a bit of a plot convenience, really. But
Hey, the last person we saw hanging out in that TARDIS was Jackie. It could have been
imagine if it was Jackie
a
and the doctors
flashback
just
to moments with Jackie.
That would be quite fun, actually. The doctor just gets emotional heartbreak over Jack. I'd have emotional heartbreak over Jackie, so that's fair. so they get back to Earth. They're trying to get to the wedding with Donna. I like that Ten asks her, he's not a bit overweight with a zip around his forehead, is he? It's a shame we never see the Slovene again, really, up until this point. Do you like the Slovene?
I do. We see them in Sarah Jane. Is there a baby Slovene?
You do. There is a child Slovene in Sarah Jane, yeah.
Yeah,
which is a lot of fun.
Monster from the like era that don't get brought back. Yeah, I like them. They've got a good design.
I really hope Russell brings them back. Now that he's coming back with it, I'd absolutely love to see an updated version of that.
Yeah, do you think that the world's still ready for farty aliens?
I don't know if I'm ready for it because honestly, that was a tough one to get through. Watching that episode, that was tough for a lot of it. But maybe we'll see. Maybe they can update it a little bit. There's a line that's always seemed weird to me when they're trying to get a taxi, and then Catherine Tate says they think I'm in drag. Like, so does that stand out to you for any way?
Well, look. In like the noughties, the most insulting thing to say to a woman is she looks like a drag queen.
Yeah, okay.
Now a supreme compliment, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But first she says they think she's in fancy dress.
Yeah.
But if you saw someone like as a bride, I wouldn't immediately assume that's an expensive fancy dress outfit because it's a proper wedding dress that she's in.
Yeah, that's grand, thousands of pounds of money at least. So. Yeah, she just looks like a bride. Like if I saw that on the street, I'd be like, oh, she's off to a wedding or something. But yeah, and then they're like, well, you're drunk. Like, what? Why? Why is she drunk? She's trying to get a taxi.
Also, look,
okay.
People do heckle out in the street. I'm not saying that, but the volume of heckles that she gets in a 30 seconds is outrageous.
It does seem quite excessive. The people of London / Cardiff have absolutely no love for Donna Noble. Speaking of which, I have a note here. I'll never drop this love / hatred I have for the London Cardiff filming. I have a note. Where is it? Yes, one of those famous London blue buses in the background. Just because there was just a little Cardiff bus just going across in the background. So. Very fun. I enjoy that quite a lot. You know London. Are you from London?
I'm not from London. I moved to London just over 2 years ago. So I don't know it well enough to like notice all the tiny little different the blue bus I could tell. But other than that, I'm not like an expert.
That's fair enough. I'm by no means an expert. I moved there for university and I lived there for a few years. But yeah, it's just something that once I notice it, I cannot get it out of my head, and it's so nitpicky. I get that, like it's so stupid and it means nothing, but for some reason it just eats at me, and I just can't let it go.
It does make me laugh that every single one of the Russell era companions are set in London. Like he easily could have set one in Cardiff, like, and just have Cardiff.
Exactly, you can set it somewhere else. It wasn't until Amy came along that there was someone set outside of London. So yeah, it just seems strange to me. But there we go.
This was also really of the time is Donna knowing multiple phone numbers to ring. She had them all memorized, got to a payphone and just put them all in at once.
First of all, payphone. Yeah. Truly bizarre. Second of all, if you ask me to give a number right now, I can give you my own number, but other than that, not a fucking chance, mate.
No idea.
Yeah, not a single one. Amazes me. That is a skill. That is a true skill if you can do that. I just got, and that goes double for your mother from Catherine Tate. I'd love to know what she said before that to give the double for your mother bit. That seems great. She's again just that fiery attitude from Donna, which I love so much. And the whole just like frantic nature of the taxi sequence, because it is literally just two people trying to get a taxi, but somehow it seems quite tense. It's like the stakes seem high even though they're not really. It seems quite intense and dramatic, and it's weird how, I don't know, I guess it's just entertaining, like how they can take something that's quite mundane but make it seem end of the world scenario, really.
I mean, it is for Donna, though. It's her wedding day, so I think that helps. Like, it's like the biggest day of her life, and she has no time for this alien shit, which adds a really fun dynamic to it.
I guess that's true. I've never necessarily thought about it from the point of view of it being her wedding day. And that does make, like, the whole, I don't care about you, fucking Martian man in this spaceship and everything. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Oh, well done. You've opened my eyes to something. The robot Santas are back. How do you feel about these kind of classic, not really classic monsters?
So, feel a little bit like in this era of Doctor Who, when they did their Christmas episodes, they wanted them just adventures set at Christmas, and then they add little bits as opposed to Moffat, when I feel like they're proper Christmas stories and they like
fairy tales
lessons. So they're clearly just like, we've got to make it Christmassy, let's bring the Santas back and let's bring the Christmas tree back, whether or not it makes any any reasoning, any
logical sense. It doesn't, but whatever. Me and Laurence said in the last Christmas episode we did, it's kind of just Christmas iconography for the sake of it, really, purely because it's Christmas. We got to throw in some Christmas stuff in there, but does it really make sense if you think about it for more than 2 minutes? Not really, but a lot of Doctor Who doesn't, so fuck it, really.
I don't think you want to have that attitude when you have a podcast dedicated to talking about it.
I try so hard not to have that attitude.
Don't think about it too much. That's the whole point of this.
I try not to, but then this is where like we have a semi-regular recurring segment called Nathan Nitpicks a Thing, where I just cannot let something go. And I just need to speak about it. So Robot Santa kidnaps Donna, and then this sets us off on a whole chase sequence with the TARDIS. For what year was it? This was 2006. I am surprised at how good this looks.
It looks all right?
Yeah. I saw The Flash about 2 or 3 weeks ago, okay? This looks better than The Flash. Like, for a movie that just came out and cost like $200 billion or whatever and looks like absolute shit, this weird little sci-fi show from 2006 looks so much better.
I agree so much. I saw The Flash last week, and
right?
It was honestly the closest I've ever come to. I've never wanted to leave a cinema. It's the closest I've ever come. I was with my brother, and I turned to him at one point where it was a scene with Ezra, and I was like, I think I have to go. I can't carry on doing this. And then the CGI managed to get worse.
Oh yeah, it gets so much worse. Yeah, that is a rough ride. Honestly, relatable what you just said. Like needing to go, I feel that. I was really surprised at how good this looks. So you've got a TARDIS flying about traffic and crashing along the motorway and stuff, and it genuinely looks quite good. I think they obviously filmed it they do a lot of this stuff later on in Doctor Who where they would film it on the actual set of the TARDIS and then put a green screen around the door or something, so you've got that depth effect. They haven't just put a picture of the console room behind David Tennant, which they often do. They actually get the depth right and stuff, and it looks so good. It's really impressive.
I really like that scene. I thought it was tense. I thought it looked great. My only, if I were to nitpick, would be the two little children applauding, waving.
Yeah.
Very cheesy.
I feel like that's just it's Christmas. Let's have some kids celebrating sort of thing. But if I was the dad in the car, I'd have been like, what the fuck are you two doing? What are you yelling at back there? That is pretty cheesy though.
Yeah.
But yeah, really enjoy that chase sequence. I like how the Doctor's controlling the TARDIS with a bit of string and his teeth and just pulling it along and stuff. And I love as well how the TARDIS just cannot take it as well. He pushes it to the limit, and then they get Donna out of there, and then it's just nah, I'm fucked now, mate. I need an hour or two just to recover from that.
I'm such like a kid about the TARDIS. I love any time they have to do something like really practically with it. Like anytime they have to like flick a switch, press a
Yeah.
button, do a thing, and you see the close up of them doing it. I love it every single time.
See, I struggle with it because I love it. I'd love it in different versions of the TARDIS, but I have a real beef with this console room. Like, I will say during this chase sequence and like with the depth effect and stuff, it does look quite good. I think it's lit in a way. Like the brighter it is, the better it looks. But usually when it's quite dingy and when it's like I don't know, it just looks a mess to me. I don't like it. I feel like if you flicked a switch on that console, it would just fall off completely.
Yeah.
And nothing would happen.
I do think this interior suits Chris Eccleston's Doctor a lot more than it suits David Tennant. Like David Tennant's sharp,
Yeah.
he's in a suit, he like always has perfectly
Yeah.
coiffured hair. Like he doesn't have like a dingy little TARDIS, but
It is a bit of a shame that they didn't really change anything
Yeah.
for David Tennant. Like he's got the same screwdriver, same TARDIS, same like psychic paper. Well, I mean, he always has the same psychic paper, but just nothing about him really changes other than like him himself,
Yeah.
really, which is a bit of a shame. I'd like to see a bit of more individuality about it, but you know, it is what it is.
Just on that bit, I love the I'm in my wedding dress, and he's like, "Yes, you look lovely." Like straight away
Yeah.
building their little rapport. It's so fun.
That is good. That is good. It's easy to see why like people wanted Catherine Tate to come back and why she did come back because, like I said, straight away they're just hitting it off with that banter, and it's so much fun. It must have been difficult to go from this episode to then go through season 3, where it's. Look, I absolutely love Martha as a character. I think she's a great character, and I love her to pieces, and I'll defend her to the end of the earth. But I feel like the relationship with her and the Doctor, it's his fault because he's too mopey and he doesn't give her enough of a chance. But it's just not as dynamic,
Yeah.
really.
And that means it's not as fun. Look, I fucking love Martha Jones, and I will be listening for when you get to her because I fight with so many people about talking about what a terrible character is because she is in the fucking right and she's a great, great character.
She's in the right through all of season 3.
Yeah.
She's so good, and we mentioned this recently, like when she showed up in the finale of series 2. Not Martha, but the actress. Like she goes through a lot of shit because of the Doctor. Like he puts her through so much, and at the end of it, like yeah, she's right to walk away because fuck this guy, basically. But yeah, we'll definitely get to that, and Laurence better watch out because Katherine will come for him. Yes, so the TARDIS shits the bed, basically, cannot handle it, needs a bit of time to recover. A scene actually shot in London, bizarrely. I stood up and I cheered.
When you saw the lastminute.com London Eye.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I loved it. It was great. Nice little moment. I like that 10 gets to like reference the Palace Day and having Christmas dinner with the Tylers and that type of stuff. That was quite cute. Just a nice little moment of bonding between the two of them, really.
It was like at that point, Catherine Tate, our lover, had been operating on like an 11 the entire time. Like,
yeah.
So it was nice. Then you get this like little moment where she feels a little bit more real, and there's like a genuine interaction between the two of them.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like there was a moment earlier, like when she picked up like Rose's jacket, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not the first one. How many you had?" And then obviously the Doctor is like, "Oh fuck, I'm depressed again." And I feel like she realizes she stepped in it there,
Yeah.
and she's like, "What do you mean lost?" And he's just classic man pain, sad face, doesn't really say anything. And then I feel like she gets a little bit more out of him at this point, and then she asks him about her again, but just straight away the Doctor's like, "Oh no, I want to talk about something else. So let's not face any of my emotions head on. Let's not deal with any of that. Let's just move on." Yeah, here's something. They're talking about how she met Laurence, the guy she marries, and like you get the whole thing of her like temping, working at HC Clements. They meet over coffee and this type of stuff, and then it goes through this whole thing where Donna's just like begging him, absolutely begging him to marry her. And I didn't like that. It just felt really hashtag women be crazy kind of
Yeah.
thing a little
Look,
bit.
in general, I actually think Russell T Davies writes really real women and writes female
Mhm.
characters that feel so real. Like I know who Rose is, I know Roses, I know Donna's, but he does have a tendency of writing women that are really desperately in love with the male characters.
Yeah. Oh, he does.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is another example of her being so desperate for Lance of
Yeah.
all people. I've always said never trust someone in HR. And this is clear.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. It felt. It honestly, it felt sexist to me watching it. It just didn't necessarily seem. It doesn't fit the Donna we know
No.
as well. Like, I at no point do I believe the Donna we know from series 4 would be begging someone to marry them.
No,
It's
the Donna we know in series 4 is like confident. She's flirty when
yeah,
she wants to be, and she's kind of
yeah,
unashamed of
exactly.
that. She's not like, I guess
Oh,
you
please, 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 please marry me, like a little
no.
puppy,
After like
just
a few
begging.
months, like begging to get married.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
and exactly. It seems, and probably not even that because they would have needed a bit of time to plan the wedding. So, like, how quickly was she doing that? I don't know. It seems strange. Just left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth.
But
Really.
she also said she'd get rid of the dog. So where is the dog?
Wait, what was that? What was that? Oh, she had. Oh, yeah, she did, didn't she? Okay. See, I don't
I
like
don't like it either.
that.
And we never hear from the dog again, so that dog is gone.
Gone. Oh no, I don't like that. Oh, that's an immediate red flag in a relationship. If
100%.
someone says like, if someone wants you to get rid of a dog, or someone says they'll get rid of a dog for you, oh no, don't do that. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Let's say timey-wimey shit changed Donna somehow. I don't know what happened. I think she is absolutely right though to be pissed off that they had the reception without her.
What? Right, Donna's family are insane. She literally disappeared in front of them. Like, it wasn't a
Yes.
trick. It wasn't like she hid behind
No.
a thing. She fully
They saw
disappeared.
it. It's on video. It's the same clip as the episode, but it's on
Yeah.
video.
And they just have the party anyway.
Yeah, if it happened to me, which would be a weird thing, but if you know, like if I was in Donna's shoes and I got to the reception and I saw my fiance partying with someone else and all this sort of stuff, you absolutely would be pissed off. It would be insane, and then just everyone being like, "Well, where have you been? What's going on? Where have you been?" All like going off at her. Essentially, you're right. It's so fucking bizarre that they're just like, "Oh, this is your fault." For some reason.
They do. It's really funny, actually. They set Donna up almost like with what we're saying about her and Lance and her family not really liking her as an unlikable character. But in this episode, she is likable.
Yeah, she is. Massively. Laurence is very unlikable, but we'll get to that. Yeah, she is absolutely right to be angry. I would be too. Whatever, they have a bit of an ease up. They have a bit of fun. We're gonna say something?
Well, Donna cries and everyone applauds.
Yes. Classic. I don't know. I feel like that's also a little bit of me and Laurence call them Russellisms. Just a little bit of we'll have the woman cry because that's just a thing that they do, I guess.
And she wasn't really sad, so she was just manipulating her. Is that what we're meant to think?
I guess so. I do like the little wink she gives the doctor though, and then he's got a little smug grin. That is pretty fun. But yeah, all around, just a few odd choices there. Yeah, they have their reception. There's a bit of a sad moment where Ten sees just a random blonde woman dancing, and then he just gets flashbacks to Rose because I guess that's just going to happen for the rest of his life now. Whenever he sees
any blonde woman,
yeah, just any blonde woman, he's like, "Oh no, I'm so depressed and in pain," and all this sort of stuff.
It's also pitched like because he sees the woman dancing with a guy and then he's like, remember it. And I think you're meant to think, oh, it's a romantic moment between him and Rose. But isn't it her like collapsing on him?
It is. And I don't think it's Rose. I think it's Cassandra.
Yeah.
As well. So yeah, weird choice.
Fondly remembers that time.
What are your thoughts? Because obviously you wasn't, this is your first time on the show. Wasn't with us to talk about the episodes. What are your thoughts on like the whole 10 Rose dynamic and that sort of stuff.
I think it gets lumped in with all the companions being in love with the Doctor, which I understand they
Yes.
were in love, but I just think it's a really beautiful relationship that they build really well, and I think like
Yeah.
start building it in the Chris Eccleston era and follow
Yeah.
it through. And I think they have fantastic chemistry together.
Oh,
So
massively.
I do like it, but I do understand why everyone's like, oh, why can't we have a companion that's not in love with the Doctor? Which is why so many people love Donna.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like it's okay to have a companion who is in love with a Doctor, especially because she was the first one, really.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know if you've watched much, if any, Classic Who. I haven't, but from what I understand, none of them were ever. There was never any like romantic stuff going on. I feel like they kind of retconned some stuff with Sarah Jane to be like, oh, she was always in love with the Doctor, but I don't think that was ever the case in her actual run. But yeah, it's perfectly fine to have like a character who is in love with him. But then yeah, I think especially with Martha following on, it does definitely start a trend, which does die off, thankfully.
Yeah.
But it does start a trend which can be exhausting, really, especially back to back. And then you have Kylie Minogue in the Christmas special as well.
I know. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I can't believe Kylie is in Doctor, because she's been in
It's
her song
Kylie.
recently. I was like, it's crazy she was in an
Yeah.
episode of Doctor Who.
It's bizarre. As the show goes on, there's so many bizarre, just like actors, British actors who aren't quite famous enough yet. And then, like Andrew Garfield shows up at one point.
Yeah, Carey Mulligan.
Carey Mulligan,
Yeah, it's mad.
with so many just before their time superstars, which is a lot of fun. Where was we? Yeah, 10 Remembers Rose. Yeah, like I said, the footage that the cameraman shows him, it's literally just the opening of the episode. I'm so lazy. I always hate that, man.
Not even a different angle.
No, it's just like the dramatic zoom close up of Donna as she screams. And yeah, I always hate that. Just get a different angle of it. How difficult can it be?
It's one of the least Christmassy Christmas episodes, I think.
It is, to be honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not much Christmas stuff in it, really, other than like you say, like the iconography.
Because
And
it's also
stuff,
mainly
really.
about a wedding. Like, it's more of
Yeah.
a wedding episode than a Christmas episode.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like you were saying earlier, the Moffat episodes, they do tend to like dive into the Christmas theme a little bit more, and they're a little bit more like magical and fairy tales and that type of stuff. And I'd say I'd prefer those type of sort of Christmas specials.
Me too.
Really.
I do want them to bring the specials back, though. Because, like, even in my low times of watching Doctor Who, we always watch the Christmas specials.
Yeah, they are coming back.
Are they?
So yeah, we're getting a Christmas special this year, which I think is shooting out its first full episode. So yeah, that's exciting. The Rachnos is a big gross spider lady. What do you think about the Rachnos?
Great character design. I
Great,
think
yeah.
she looks good. I like the actual idea. I don't want to talk bad about a specific actress, but I think they maybe overplayed it a little bit at times. I don't know who she is, but she really
yeah.
hams up every single scene that she's in.
She really does, and I don't want to give away my card for any certain segments that may or may not be coming up, but we will talk more about this later. But yeah, there's definitely some hamming up at certain points. But again, though, great design. Love a big campy Doctor Who monster. I mean, it's a big fucking alien spider, like, and I love that they actually went, oh yeah, let's actually make this. Let's not just get like a bad CGI thing. We'll make this big fucking spider thing, and it looks great. Looks so good. I really appreciate the idea of Donna trying to build up some dramatic tension before Lance attacks the Rachnos. She's like, a spider's just a spider and an axe is an axe. She knows the cinematic quality of a good attack sequence. It reminds me of the moment me and Laurence absolutely love in the very first episode, where Rose builds up some dramatic tension before she swings on the talking about her A levels and whatever. We love that
Britain's
moment.
greatest gymnast.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a lot of fun. I just love weird out of place moments where characters somehow know they're in a TV show and try to build it up. A lot of fun. So then we get the Lance reveal. Like, he's been evil all along or whatever. What a prick, man.
They have an unironic double evil giggle.
Yeah.
When they reveal that
do.
he's evil the whole time, they both
Yeah.
laugh.
They do, actually. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Just a prick, though, right? Just an absolute.
Awful. And when
Yeah.
he lists the things he doesn't like about Donna, like her watching X Factor, her gossiping, he doesn't
Yeah.
appreciate Hun culture. He doesn't know what he's missing out on.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard the term Hun culture, but I love it so much. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, you just know, like, fucking Lance, like, if Lance was around today, he'd be just absolutely, he'd have Twitter blue, first of all. He'd
my
have a
God,
blue
yeah.
check mark on Twitter, and he'd be like, oh, Taylor Swift's not real music. Like, all you fucking Swifties go mad for Eras tickets. Like, fuck you. You don't know what real music is. Like, biggest incel going, Lance
The
is.
worst kind of people.
Yeah, exactly. The Rachnos says to the doctor, about the doctor, she says, who is this little physician? Which I think is a fun way to refer to him, honestly. I quite like that. Do you have any thoughts on all this sort of stuff? Just this whole scene overall with Lance and the reveal and everything like this?
Might talk about Lance later.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
No,
I get you.
But yeah, it's good.
All right.
Does the doctor says Shazam at one point, which I thought was very weird.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have missed that. At what point? Do you know what point he says that?
I think it might be just before that scene when they're in the fake little science lab. I love a fake. Because I'm a scientist by trade, so I love a fake science lab. So I love when they say it's about particles, so you see all the water bubbling through, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's how science works."
Like what is clearly just like some sort of like basement, like fucking industrial room, some sort of, and they're like, "Oh, this is vaguely sciencey. Sure, let's use this." Yeah, I love all that sort of stuff when they just dress something up. The vagueness of it all. They're in the Doctor and Donna are back in the TARDIS. He's summoned to the TARDIS with the particles, bit of fun. I enjoy that. And then they're going to see like the formation of the Earth, which is quite interesting. But the Doctor, he literally just pulls out the extrapolator from series 1 that him and Jack used, just like out of nowhere. It's just like, oh, I guess this has just been on the floor for 2 years.
Their TARDIS is cluttered. Rose is leaving her jacket out. Everyone's leaving shit everywhere.
What a mess that place is, man, honestly.
But, this bit is real when he talks about the formation of the Earth. This is real, back to school. Doctor Who's teaching us about science now. We're all going to learn something. Yeah.
I feel like that's quite rare.
I think
these
it's rare,
days. Or maybe it's not. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's happening quite a while. I can't remember some of the more recent stuff, but yeah, I think most of the time it's just cool shiny action and weird adventures and stuff. But yeah, it is rare that you get and this is how science works. Yeah. And most of the time it's wrong and bullshit.
But David Tennant sells it because he has such an awe in his voice when he's talking about it and the making of Planet Earth. So he just nails those kind of little scenes.
I do always love it, David Tennant explaining something sequence and like the excited way he gets about it. And even like Donna would often slap him and that type of stuff because he just rambles on. But yeah, I always enjoy those kind of sequences. They're a lot of fun. Yeah. And again, just showcase David Tennant's just range really, and he is always great at that sort of stuff.
Well, we learn that at the center of the Earth is the Rachnos egg.
Yes. So the Earth was formed around a spaceship, I guess, and a lot of spider babies. So that's pretty bizarre. But I mean, more strange stuff has happened in Doctor Who and will happen down the line. One thing in particular, but sure, I guess this can happen.
A surprising amount of things in Doctor Who are eggs.
Big, big. I was trying to think of the scientific term for a moon, but I couldn't think of one. And now celestial body. Yes, there we go. Oh, this is something. I'm not sure if you ever noticed this, but when this is jumping ahead slightly, I guess. But when they get back to where the Rachnos is and they're saving the day and Lance is killed and all that sort of shit. And then the Doctor stops the Rachnos and starts to flood the whole lab, I guess. We get the first mention of Gallifrey in New Who. It's not been mentioned since the revival. This is the first.
Really?
Yeah, this is the first on-screen mention since it came back.
That's so. I just feel like him and Rose would have talked about it at some point.
They did. They talked about like the Time Lords and his people and his planet, but the word specifically Gallifrey never been mentioned up until this point. So
I know it's cheesy, but I always love a big like dramatic reveal that he's a Time Lord, and then people reacting to it.
The moment that I always think about is the one in, I think it's the next Christmas special, the one with Kylie anyway, on the Space Titanic, where there's just that big, I'm the Doctor, and there's just big dramatic music behind it, and he just has this whole fanfare and stuff. It's so like, it's such a built for a trailer moment. It's such a like big dramatic, put a big thud and break up each sequence behind it, but it works. It's good.
Do they ever do like making fun of it, like, oh, I'm the Doctor and da 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 da? Do they do something like that?
They do. They have one. It's actually in the 50th anniversary special. There's the one where David Tennant, he's chasing a Zygon and he's talking to what he thinks is a Zygon. It's like, I'm the Doctor. I'm from the planet Gallifrey, and you are basically just a bunny rabbit, aren't you?
Yeah, that one is fun. I like that.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, good fun. But yeah, so the Doctor is like pretty fucking murderous, I guess. Pretty just insane.
He's very murderous.
Yeah.
I kind of like in the show that the Doctor's morals are always changing.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes he's fine to kill. Sometimes he's like, if you open up the dictionary and you look at genocide, there'll be me there saying no. It just depends on the day.
Yeah, it does, I guess. I kind of like this moment though, because I feel like it makes sense in terms of like where he's at in his character. Because the way I think about it is like Rose was, talking about Rose again, Rose was a very big part of like helping him progress from the Time War, basically. Like when they met, he was soaked in fire and blood, and he was just come off, from his point of view, destroying his whole planet and this type of stuff. And he was angry, and he was someone who would, kill without hesitation, all this type of stuff, and do what he needed to do. And because of her, they worked on that. She worked to soften him and that type of stuff and help him to get to a better place. And then I kind of like that, like, immediately after he's lost her, he kind of backpedals into that mindset, sort of. He loses his way a little bit, which is quite interesting. I kind of like that.
And it shows, like, because I guess someone that didn't really like the show would be like, what's the point of the companion? They're just there to, like, make the Doctor look good. But I think this shows, like, how they ground him and they bring that connection with humanity, because you have Donna being like, stop, you're going too far.
Yeah. I do like that Donna's the one to pull him back a bit and to say, like, you need to stop this now, you dickhead. Like, you're right. It does kind of like earn the place of the companion, I guess, really, which is needed often. The first Saxon mention in this episode, first mention of, I think they say orders from Mr. Saxon, so I guess he's in charge of like the military or whatever. But
as a kid, I always loved like the bad wolf, the tortured, and the sax, like all those kind of stuff. But like now I'm older, teasers. I was like, it's a bit ridiculous. Like 3 seasons on the run, they hide words in the show.
Yeah, I feel like it was done so well in the first series because you didn't notice it up until like they have the moment where they're like, oh, I've heard that a lot. Like, what's going on there? But then I feel like straight away you notice the Torchwood thing, and then like the Saxon thing. It was so obvious from like the first mention. Everyone knew what was going, because there was Vote Saxon posters everywhere. I think it even showed up in Torchwood as well. Yeah. It was all over the place, and it wasn't subtle. But yeah, interesting though. Interesting. Yeah. What kind of ecological disaster would the Thames being drained cause? Quite a big one, I think.
A big one. Also, who wants to see what's actually at the bottom of the Thames?
Oh my God, what an absolute nightmare that would be. Do you know how many bodies would be down there? Oh, yeah, I don't want to think about it. The Thames is so fucking gross as well.
It is foul.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all of London's water supply. That's like fucking, it's everything basically. I feel like a lot of shit would get fucked up because of that.
I do want to shout out Donna climbing up that ladder in a soaking wedding dress. That
Oh
thing
yeah,
would be so heavy. She
yeah.
was just climbing up there like a pro.
I never thought about that actually. Yeah, that's quite impressive. I do like the moment as well where where they kind of like build up the big moment where Donna has to like do a Spider-Man swing, and then it's just that weird little
Yeah.
slapstick comedy moment where she just falls. And I think they even have like a generic like comedy sound effect with like a little bonk effect or something.
She doesn't have her bronze medal, whatever Rose.
No,
She didn't
she is
complete
not.
it.
No, she has not got her bronze gymnastics like Rose has. Unfortunately, she hasn't got Rose's arms, unfortunately. But there we go. How do you feel about Rose, Donna, like the doctor asking her to come with it and her being saying no to him, basically?
I mean, it's hard because she does eventually go with him, but I
Yeah,
like the idea that she saw this part of the Doctor and she saw kind of this like darkness almost to him, and she was like, no, I can't be part of that. I need to like move on by
yeah,
myself. I think that is like an interesting turn to take. Obviously, they have to walk it back because they decide they want to bring Donna back.
yeah, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm the same. I kind of like that. First of all, she's like, no, this isn't for me. This seems like this whole world is too far. You just made it snow. Like, what the fuck? Who does that? Yeah, pretty scary stuff. I do like it. I like the difference of it because, like I say, we've had 2 seasons of someone who has worshipped the ground this man walks on and loves everything about him. So it's nice change of pace to see like someone be like, oh no, thank you. This seems scary and I don't want to do it. Which is I feel like what I do. Like I don't want any part of this, man. This seems like a lot. It's
The problem is I'd want to go on like one fun thing where we promise
yeah.
no shenanigans are going to happen, but I don't think the Doctor can
But
make that kind of promise.
he says that all the time. They're always like, we'll just do one fun adventure, just be chill, located, and then the next one, fucking Daleks are chasing you down a hallway or whatever. but yeah, no, I'm the same. I wouldn't want to do anything like that. I really like the ending of this episode. Just the way that like he's going to fuck off, and the Doctor calls him back, and I like the way she asks him about Rose, and she asks him what was her name, because I feel like we mentioned it a little bit earlier. There was quite a few moments where she tried to talk to him, and he just flat out refused. He just ignored it and carried on. And I like that it was. I feel like her getting him to say her name was more for him than for anything. It wasn't her wondering anything. It was because like she knows that he needs to address this. He needs to face his grief and move on rather than just like hide and ignore it, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how much we're bringing in that we know the Doctor and Donna's relationship, but I do feel like in one episode they really understood each other. Like,
Yeah.
when she's talking about Lance and she's like, "Oh, he deserved it." He's like, "You don't mean that," and she's like, "No, I don't." Like they kind
Yeah.
of knew who each other was straight away, which is really
Yeah.
nice about them.
Yeah, and you're right. It is something that comes back to play later on in quite a big way. So, yeah, interesting stuff. And yeah, it is weird to think about now that like how much did they plan in advance, and I don't think they did. I think it's all just happy accidents, really. But yeah,
But it's
definitely interesting.
I don't want to talk too much about what's to come, but the way it
Oh,
lines
we do it all
up
the time.
so
Don't
perfect,
we do it all the time? Yeah,
with Donna's whole arc of being, insignificant, and like she literally says at one point, like she's nothing, she's not important, and it's so
yeah.
funny that
That's a big
yeah,
thing. Yeah,
and it
such a big moment later on. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on to our famous segment?
no, I thought it was a good episode. I thought it was a good Christmas one, even though not very Christmassy.
Yes, that's true. I've never really thought about that until today, but you're right. Yeah, it's one of the least Christmassy episodes. I'm trying to think about others now. David Tennant's last episode is not that Christmassy, really.
Either. And I don't think that's like written to be that Christmassy really at all.
It's more written for him basically, but yeah. Good point. All right, here we go. Weirdo of the Week. weirdo. Every single week, I have to tell Laurence off for dancing to all the theme music. And I thought this week it'll be a nice, refreshing change of pace. I won't have to tell anyone off because Catherine's here instead. And I'm not going to tell her off, but there was some dancing. I'll just let you all know.
I just think you shouldn't pick theme songs that are bops if you don't want people to bop along.
That's exactly what I said. Fair point. It is my fault, I guess. So this is everyone's favorite segment of the show where we get the chance to take a look back and reflect on some of the weird and wonderful and grubby little characters who come across on screens each and every week. Katherine, you kind of hinted at it, but do you have, who is your weirdo that you're celebrating this week?
I'm not celebrating them. Let's be real clear here.
Fair.
I'm actively against them. I'm picking Lance because any man who's happy to betray the entire human race to fuck a spider, I am not okay with that.
Yeah. That's so weird. That's monster fucking to the next level, man. That is insane. But yeah, no, that's absolutely fair.
I can't wrap my head around what his end goal was. They destroy the human race, and he just lives with spider people forever.
I guess. Like, did he really think like these spiders who eat everything and eat humans and will destroy the whole world are going to be like, oh no, but he's okay. Yeah. Like he's fine. We won't eat him when all the other ones have been died out and there's nothing left to eat. He'll be fine. Yeah, strange bloke. Don't like him. He is weird, and I'm glad he's dead. So there we go.
You don't have the moral compass that Donna has.
No, I don't. Not with weirdos like him. Who wants to fuck a spider, man? Like, what the fuck? And speaking of spiders, my weirdo for this week is the Empress herself, the Empress of the Arachnos, for two specific reasons. First of all, she's a giant alien spider who for some reason knows an awful lot about Earth wedding customs and keeps making wedding puns. She's like, oh, till death do us part, and awfully wedded, and all this sort of stuff, which just seemed quite strange. And then secondly, and this is more like what we was talking about a little bit, but because, again, she's a giant alien spider, but for some reason keeps hissing like a cat, which is both annoying and confusing. All the time, she's just like this for some reason, and it was so annoying.
It was so bad when it was the big pivotal moment and the fires were going and David Tennant was acting and then she was just like
yes.
It's so bad.
It was insane. Yeah, I didn't like it. But there we go. That's my weirdo. Two good weirdos this week.
Two good weirdos. I will say about her, she's a bit of a feminist icon though, because she's like, I'm going to kill you anyway because you didn't treat your woman right.
There you go. All right, we stand the queen. We stand the spider queen.
Let's not go that far.
Okay. There we go. All right, so that about does it. Oh fuck, Laurence usually does this bit. I'm lost now. Okay.
You got it.
That about does it for this weekend. I'll just give some final thoughts overall. I enjoyed the episode. Good bit of Christmas fun. Good introduction to Katherine Tate, and we'll obviously see her again later down the line. And yeah, I'm just excited for season 3 now. So there we go. Anything else? Any final thoughts? Wrap up?
No, it did just make me want to keep watching it, and I am like, maybe I just keep rewatching Doctor Who now forever and get through the whole thing.
Join us, come on the journey. Watch it every week. I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it. I say it often. Like a lot of the times, I just want to immediately play the next one. Do you get that with Mystic? Like, do you? Yeah,
absolutely. Because every single episode of The Vampire Diaries ends on a freaking cliffhanger.
Oh God, yeah.
So you always want to watch the next one. It's so annoying.
CW shows are famous for that. I used to watch Arrow and the early days of The Flash, and they were both like every single episode. It was just the biggest cliffhanger ever, and it was those bastards. They're so good. But yeah, so that's about it. Thank you for joining me this week, Katherine, and filling in for Laurence. I really appreciate it. Missing Mystic Falls comes out every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. If I get it out on time, which happens a lot.
I know that feeling.
We are just wrapping up the end of season 1. So we've got the season finale coming out. We're recording it this weekend, so coming out very soon.
Woohoo! Go check it out. It's a good time. Available on all podcast platforms, I guess.
Yeah. Wherever you get your podcast from, we'll be there.
Are you on Twitter, Instagram?
Yeah, so we are on Twitter at Miss Mystic Falls Pod and Instagram at Missing Mystic Falls Pod.
I'll have some links in the description below as well, so you can check that out. Do you want to plug your own Twitter, or do you not want to do that?
Yeah, you can do. My Twitter is, if we're still using Twitter, is Kathy_Scratch. I don't know why. Yeah. That's just my Twitter.
Fair enough. Maybe we'll all have made the move over to Threads, which we have, but we are on Threads now. You can follow us at Still Got Legs Pod, I think it is. We're also on Instagram, but we literally only made the Instagram so we can use Threads, so there's nothing there, so don't really bother following that. What else? Twitter. We also have another podcast me and Laurence do every week called Another Happy Pod. Feel free to check that out. It's our pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, TV shows, and sometimes just random shit that we come up with. So check that out. Rate us 5 stars, do all that stuff. You know what to do. Look, can you tell Laurence does this and I don't know what the fuck I'm saying? Figure it out. You know what to do. And that is just about it for this week. So we'll see you next week. Say hi to your mum for me.